My name is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That is fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channel Mom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Brought to you by the Healthy Marriage Project. Just click on one of their ads to find out about a healthy relationship workshop near you. Hey, welcome back to the Channel Mom Show on Mile High Sports Radio, AM 1510, FM 93.7. I am your host, Jenny Dean Schmidt. A little bit of switchfoot there. I love switchfoot. Thanks for playing that, Daniel. I'm realizing I have a crumpled up piece of paper in my hand, Dan. Because as a mother, we're always cleaning, and I was going through folders while I was in there and cleaning stuff. Okay, I can just get rid of that. Next segment, this next interview, I really think is going to be helpful to a lot of people. Let's just get real. If you are unhappy in your marriage or lonely, if you're single and tired of it, if you've been abused sexually, which 1 in 3 women have, or if you have an underlying sadness about the closeness of your relationship or lack thereof, the next interview is for you. I recently interviewed the very well-known Dr. Juli Slattery at the Hearts at Home convention once again in Rochester, Minnesota. Wonderful convention, 3,000 moms almost there. Really great to see all those moms getting together and learning how to be better moms and cheering each other on. Dr. Slattery is a clinical psychologist, but she brings a mom's heart to her psychology in order to give help to couples and to give them the tools they need to build strong marriages and help their kids stay on the right path or to keep their marriage together even. Juli is often heard on Weekend Magazine, Your Family Live, and the Focus on the Family daily broadcast. So here now is my interview with Dr. Slattery as I discuss with her why marriages are in crisis in America as the divorce rate surges, I think a little bit over 50% now, and fewer people are choosing to get married. What can moms do in this marriage environment?
If I had to pick one message that's really important for me to get across to moms, it's wisdom. It's moms make hundreds of decisions a day, and your kids will be the product of all those decisions. And I think at some level we know this. This is why we have lots of mom guilt. But it's just, how do you seek wisdom to always know what to do in the right moment? So that's what my passion is just showing moms how to get wisdom from God, how to walk wisely, how to make good decisions. I think one of the things that moms have to realize is that we all have certain kind of like pitfalls that we fall into. You know, there's a proverb in the Bible that says, as a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. And sometimes I feel that way as a mom, like 95% of things I do right, but I'm not consistent enough with discipline, or I make bad decisions when it comes to how I handle conflict, or maybe I favor one of my kids. And so we all go back to one of these issues that we're just not good at. And we can kind of be stubborn about that and say, well, that's just the way I am, they'll get through it. And wisdom is saying, no, I want to look at that hard issue, the thing that I'm stuck on, the thing that I always seem to fail in, and I want to learn how to do that differently.
I do have some of those problems you just named, and so it resonated with me. So for instance, when you find yourself favoring a child, or when you find that you're yelling, or things like that, and after the fact you think, why did I do that again? Why can't I just stop that? What is a pattern you can put into place to stop issues like that?
Well, I think the very first thing is that when you name it, that's huge, you know, because again, we tend to give ourselves a free pass and say, well, I'm Irish, that's why I lose my temper. Every mom does this. But when you say, I've got a temper problem, or genuinely, I have trouble loving this kid, when you admit that to yourself, that's a huge first step. And when you say, this is wrong, I've got to change it. And then you seek sources to know how to change it. I mean, we live in a time where there's wonderful books, there's wonderful counselors. You know, for me personally, the source of truth is starting with God. And what does the Bible say? You know, how can God change my attitude? How can He give me love for a teenager that's hard to love right now? And so I spend a lot of time just asking for His wisdom when I've run out of my own.
True. I mean, even moms that do not follow the Bible, that are not Christians, there are principles in there, the Proverbs and so on, that even moms who are not Christians could follow, and it will really help their life. Can you give me a principle? For instance, if you find yourself struggling with outbursts of anger, can you give me a principle?
Yeah. Well, This comes right out of the book of Proverbs. A soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. Be slow to speak, quick to listen, and quick to give love, basically, slow to anger. So the Bible is dealing with some of these principal things, and I'm a clinical psychologist. And so I deal with common sense, kind of how do you solve problem issues all the time. All common sense is found first in God, because He created relationships. He created marriage. He created our kids. He knows how we're supposed to be wired. So some people see common sense and how you live and religion as separate. I see them very much together. And everything I do as a psychologist is founded in truth, and I believe that truth first started with God. So there really is a crossover, and you can approach it in terms of, I just want to know how to live well. I want to know how to resolve conflict in my marriage. Or you can start with approaching it by saying, I want to know how God wants me to live, and you'll end up in the same place.
Sure. You have a heart for moms dealing with intimacy issues.
Yeah.
Talk to me, and we're going to get to single moms too, because they may have a lack of intimacy that you can address. But first of all, explain why you have this heart as a psychologist to help moms with intimacy issues, and what do you think in America right now is one of our biggest struggles with intimacy in marriage?
Well, I have a heart for all women in intimacy issues. All women are created and are sexual. And whether you're married or single, you're sexual and you have sexual feelings and drives. And it's not only single women that are lonely. A lot of married women are lonely. And there's a huge gap between their desire and their husband's desire, or there's things like pornography or affairs that have just broken your heart. 1 out of every 3 women in America, at least, has been sexually abused by the time she was 18. And so we're talking about deep, deep wounds. And I care about those wounds because I believe God gave me that concern. He cares about it. He saw what happened when you were 5 years old. He knows the baggage that you carry and the guilt and the shame that you carry. And so I just want to bring His truth and His heart into those situations. You asked the question, what in America is one of the greatest challenges we're facing? And I think not understanding what true intimacy is. That's why our ministry is called Authentic Intimacy. We think of intimacy as a sexual expression, and it just being about the biology, and that's only a part of it. Intimacy is about a deep knowing. It's about being so vulnerable with someone that I not only share my body, but I'm sharing my soul and my spirit with them. I'm sharing my feelings. And so in the average American marriage, you've got a husband who's looking at porn, and you've got a wife who's reading things like...
The average?
Yeah.
The average American
Oh,
marriage.
yeah. 50 Shades of Grey, that we're calling it mommy porn. And I tell women there's no difference between your husband sitting in front of a computer looking at naked women and you reading books like this.
Tell me why it's dangerous.
Because it defines intimacy as just how can I get excited and how can I physically express myself sexually. But what it ends up doing, both mommy porn and regular porn, is it chips away at that deep desire you have to be known, to be safe. So in the average American marriage, if you have a husband and wife sharing their bodies, swapping spit, whatever you call it, but in their minds, the husband's thinking about some image he just saw, and the woman's fantasizing about some man she imagines or hopes to be with. That's not intimacy. And, again, it might be an exciting moment, but at the end of the day, that's why we're seeing marriages fall apart, because we don't even know what intimacy is.
Some people may say that we're being fuddy-duddies, you and me, to say that premarital sex and one-night stands and people being casual about sex and watching porn to get themselves excited to have a baby. I mean, I've heard people use that as a technique. They're going to watch porn so that they can get pregnant. Some people might say that you and I are fuddy-duddies, to say all that stuff is not healthy for a relationship, that people bring in past relationships from having so much premarital sex. They bring in all kinds of unhealthy things and no intimacy.
Yeah.
Explain to them why we're not just being old-fashioned. What is the damage there that occurs?
Well, I think we are being old-fashioned and fuddy-duddies, but there's nothing more old-fashioned than thinking we know better than God. I mean, this is from the beginning of time. We've looked at the way things are supposed to be, and we've wanted to redefine that. So I think we're all old-fashioned, but I think when it comes down to it, it's not me saying that, oh, this is wrong, and you shouldn't read this, or you shouldn't look at this. Turn your brain on for a minute. It doesn't work. You show me a marriage where over 20 years of consistently using pornography and fantasy and things like that, that you are closer, that marriage is stronger. It doesn't work. You show me a woman who's had 21 night stands who feels fulfilled. and feels known and feels safe in her sexuality. It doesn't work.
Well, and even apart from spirituality, scientific research has proven that those things introduced into a romantic relationship, a marital relationship, are damaging to the relationship. I mean, that you can prove that scientifically, medically, can you not?
Yeah, you can prove it biologically in all ways. The kind of chemicals that are released during this exciting, kind of pornographic, let's push the envelope kind of attitude, are chemicals that are actually addictive, and they cause you to crave something even more outside of what's normal till you get to the point where you have pedophilia, you have threesomes, and when is it going to stop? The chemicals that you produce when you have normal sex within marriage in a committed relationship are the kind of chemicals that not only help you fight stress, sleep better, feel bonded to your spouse, help you resolve conflict, and this is all proven, also helps you look younger. Yeah, it slows the wrinkling process. So, if you look at the biology, if you look at the psychology, what the world is telling you to do, it might be a quick fix, but it doesn't work in the long run. It's like your kids want cotton candy for breakfast. Will it make them feel good immediately? Yeah, but it spoils their appetite for the things that are healthy.
What do you want moms to know today about what you could do for them, or how you would advise them to have more intimacy in their marriage, and then tell them how they find you?
Well, you can find me at AuthenticIntimacy.com, and within the last few months I just left a job I loved at Focus on the Family, on the radio broadcast there, because the Lord has just burdened my heart with this. Burdened my heart for you, for just women who want some place to go that's safe to ask questions. And so at AuthenticIntimacy.com we've got tons of resources. We're also answering women's questions, and just hoping that we have many years ahead of just creating common sense resources to help you see, how do I get the intimacy that I truly long for?
Man, I thought what she had to say was important. It's probably not that popular, and maybe not everybody out there agrees with it, but boy, I think she's spot on. And as a clinical psychologist, she does know what she's talking about. You can check her out at AuthenticIntimacy.com. That's Dr. Juli Slattery.